name is Jack Deth, and I'm a Trancer hunter. I work in Los Angeles, California. In the year 2360. At least I did until I traveled through time to sense a Trancer nutcase who was running wild in the streets of old L.A. Now I'm stuck in the city of angels. That's not too bad. I found a girl and work as a private eye. But I'm still a future cop with no Trancers to burn and no new cases in sight.
Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the 1992 film Trancers 3 Deth Lives. And again, we have Tim Thomerson returning as Jack Deth. Also, Helen Hunt returns for a third round as Lena, with Melanie Smith as RJ, Andrew Robinson as Colonel Daddy Mother, Tony Pierce as Jason, Stephen Match as Harris, Thelma Hopkins as Commander Rains, and R.A. Mahalahoff as Shark. And this one is directed by C. Courtney Joyner and produced by Full Moon Entertainment. So I've been plowing my way through these Trancer films, and last week I did the video on the sequel. So now we're getting into the third one. So I'm just going to go through, and so there's going to be spoilers in this review if you haven't seen this movie already. So I'm going to go through and give a quick rundown of the plot. So now in this movie, it is another sequel that came out right on the heels of the third one, or the second one. The second one came out in 1991. This one came out in 92. And in this one, Jack Deth is carving out a living in present-day Los Angeles as a private detective, and he's busting cheating couples and stuff, and that's how he's making his money. But his relationship with Lena is starting to fall apart, and it gets rocky. So he's in the middle of a case, and he's trying to catch these people in the act, and then he's also on the phone with Lena trying to save his marriage. She gives him one chance. He has to meet her. The next night they set up a date to, for them to meet and them to save their marriage. While all this is going on, an android named Shark has time traveled back from the 23rd century to the present to collect Jack Deth and bring him back up the line to the future. So the android succeeds in capturing Jack and bringing him back to the 23rd century, where he is again reconnected up with his first wife Alice and one of her commanders, Harris. And now in the future, the future has been overrun with Trancers, and there's a huge Trancer war going on. So what they want to do is they want to send Jack back in time to 2005, and not 1992, but 2005, to the point in time where the whole Trancer project and all the Trancers started. So they send him back in time to stop it, and he goes back in time to 2005. But now Lena has moved on, remarried, has a daughter, and now the Trancers are being run. The whole project is being started and run by the military, and the colonel that runs the project is Daddy Mother, played by Andrew Robinson. And so one of the Trancers actually defects from the project and helps Jack Deth out, and then they team up together to take out Colonel Daddy Mother and destroy the project. So now that is the plot in a nutshell. So I'm going to talk about some of the actors in this movie. First, I'm going to start with Andrew Robinson, who plays Colonel Daddy Mother. And Andrew Robinson, I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He's been in a lot of horror movies, and he's been in a lot of straight-to-video movies, lots of guest appearances on TV shows and stuff. Some of the things I really know him from, one thing I know him really well from is Hellraiser. I own that movie on DVD, seen it countless times. Also, he was in Dirty Harry, Pumpkinhead 2, Blood Wings, and Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. But now, besides Hellraiser, the other thing that I really know him very well from is Garrick from Deep Space Nine. That was like a reoccurring character that appeared on Deep Space Nine lots. It was these types of characters that really made Deep Space Nine interesting. So he does a really good job in this movie as well, in Trancers 3. And the other actor that I want to talk about that has been a returning actor in all these Trancer films is Helen Hunt. So now she has been in the first Trancers, second Trancers, and the third Trancers. But now while this third one came out, this is where in 1992 where her career really kicked off. And this is Trancers 3. It's the last time she ever appears in a Trancer movie, unfortunately, because the same year of 1992 is when Mad About You aired in September of 92. And so she became very famous because of this TV show, and she went on to do some really big budget films and stuff like that. Prior to Mad About You, I didn't know who she was. I had never seen the Trancer movies when I was growing up. I've only recently watched them, and the things that I've known her from is, well, this is the main thing I know her from, Mad About You. I remember, catching the odd episode here and there of the show back in the 90s. And then she was in Twister, that's the other thing, and then Pay It Forward. So those are the things I've always known her for until recently when I started watching my way through the Trancer films. And it's kind of unfortunate that she doesn't come back in any of the Trancer movies, actually, because I liked the character of Lena, and I thought they had a good chemistry, her and Jack together. So how does this one stack up to the other Trancer films? Now I'm going to go through some of the things I liked about this film. And right off the bat, the thing I really liked was the android shark. I thought they did a great job. The suit looked really cool, and I wasn't sure. I was like, is this an alien or what is this? And it was just like a really insane design, crazy character that just showed up in the movie, and I was just one of the highlights of the third film. I thought the android shark. I thought it was really cool and really well done. Now, the other thing that I really liked about this was obviously Andrew Robinson. I always love it when I come across a well-known Star Trek actor in a B sci-fi movie. I don't know why. It's just one of those things, but he does a great job as Colonel Daddy Mother, and he hams it up a little bit. It's like, because the movies, this movie is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and so all the actors kind of make it a little bit more comedic and kind of ham it up a bit. And of course, obviously, Tim Thomerson is great again in this movie, coming back as Jack Deth for a third time. And the other thing I thought was kind of cool was the plot of this one. I like the idea of learning how the Trancers got started, the whole time travel with him going back to 2005 to where the Trancers project actually got started and how the whole thing started. I thought that was an interesting new story direction for the film. Now I'm going to get into some of the things I didn't like about this installment. One thing that really, if they had changed this, I honestly think this might have been better than the second one, but this really, I think, was a bit of a downer in the film, is how they handled the whole relationship between Jack and Lena. The resolution really sucked, and it wasn't very good, and I don't know if they ever planned to bring her back again. Obviously, when Helen Hunt got on Mad About You, she wasn't going to do any more Trancers films because she had already done 3. So he comes back in 2005. The movie starts off in 1992, and their marriage is on the rocks. He's supposed to meet her to save their marriage. Obviously, he doesn't, because he gets pulled into the future with the android shark. And then he comes back years later in 2005. And by that point, she has moved on, and she's got a daughter, and they meet. And it's not really a good reunion, and she's just basically done with him. And she has a daughter, but the daughter has no connection to Jack. It would have been cool if, you found out the daughter was actually his kid or something like that. But they didn't go that route. And it happens almost kind of like halfway in the movie, and then you don't ever see her again. That's it. Like, there's nothing at the end. They don't work things out. They don't patch it up. The way they left it really left you hanging. Like, it was really unsatisfactory the way they ended the whole relationship. And I actually liked Helen Hunt in these movies, and like I said, I liked the whole chemistry between her and Tim Thomerson. I thought they made a pretty good couple and a good team for these films. So that really sucked. And, well, spoiler warning, she doesn't come back again in any of the future Trancer films. So that relationship never gets resolved or never gets picked up again or anything like that. So it's just left really unsatisfactory, in my opinion. And now this is another thing. This is something that starts in this movie, and it has to do with the Trancers. So the first film, Whistler is a psychic who can use his telepathic powers to turn people with weak minds into Trancers, and they're just like raving zombies that will do the bidding of Whistler. And then it was pretty much the same thing in the second movie, but it was more of a process to get them into that zombified state. It was almost like his brother didn't have the same psychic powers he had, but he had other methods to try to turn people into Trancers so they would be enslaved to him and do whatever he wanted. Now, in this movie, it's almost like the Trancers aren't really zombies anymore. It's like they're super soldiers, and they can put themselves into a trance, and that gives them almost like superpowers, super strength and stuff. And because that starts out in the movie where some Trancers are in a bar, but they don't go into like a zombie state. They're still like, they know what's going on around them. They can put themselves into a trance, and so they kind of like start changing the nature of what the Trancers are. So then they're not the same. They're not really zombies in this one. So it kind of changes the storyline from what it was before in the previous films, and it gets actually way worse in the other films that I'll review later on. So I didn't like that. I wish they had kept it the same way, that you know, they had discovered some kind of weird drug that gave people psychic powers, and then those people could turn, you know, people with weak minds into Trancers and willing pawns and stuff. But this, it's almost like they were more like super soldiers and not zombies. So there's that. Also, they made absolutely no effort to make LA of the future look futuristic at all. They just went to some dumpy part of town and filmed it and said, well, you know, we're in a war and everything looks like crap, and that's why it does look like crap, because we're getting overrun by Trancers. So they didn't really do anything to dress it up at all, which that was something I really liked about the first film, was how much they showed of the future and how good it looked. It had like this kind of like Blade Runner feel to it, which is completely lost in these films, the follow-up movies, which is really unfortunate. And the other thing that kind of irritates me a little bit, and this is something about the series overall, not the first one, but the ones that follow up, is Jack Deth never gets his original body back. He stays pretty much in the body of his ancestor all the time, and they never really explore the idea of what happens to the person's mind when you take over their body. And so basically this guy is gone, where his ancestor's gone, and Jack Deth is basically taken over his body because he can't go back to his original body, which I thought was kind of unfortunate. You know, it would have been cool if they just took his consciousness back up the line instead of his actual body through like a physical time machine, and he got his old body back. Just because I kind of like the look that they gave him in the future with the dark hair all slicked back and the scar on the side of his face and stuff. If he just kind of had that look for a few of the movies, thought it would have been cool, but it doesn't happen. So, conclusion on this film. It's on par with, like, the look and the budget is on par with the second film. But I think the story's stepped down, and what ruins it for me is how they ended the relationship between Lena and Jack. So if that was handled differently, it would be equal to the second film. However, it's still a really fun straight-to-video watch, and the other highlight of the film, again, to watch it, is the android shark. That's really done well. And there's a setup for another Trancers sequel at the end of this one. There's a sequel setup. So then you know they're going to do a part 4, which I'm actually going to do part 4 and 5 all in the same video, because they're basically one long movie. I'm pretty sure they must have just filmed both those at the exact same time and just split it in two and released them as Trancers 4 and 5. So yeah, I would definitely give this one a watch too. It's not quite as good as the second one in my opinion, but it's still pretty fun to watch, and it's worth it for Andrew Robinson and the androids shark and stuff like that. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.